Hey everyone, it's John here from Hot Take Hockey to talk about the Calgary Flames and predict Matthew Tkachuk and Andrew Mangiapane's contract. So I'm going to go through the Flames cap situation, and as you see right there, the projected cap space at this very moment is 7.756, so just under 8 million. And obviously I think a lot of people feel that Matthew Tkachuk's contract is going to come in around that, and then you would still have to sign Mangiapane. So they have 41 contracts out of 50. Their roster size is 20 in their current NHL roster. General manager Brad Treliving and head coach Bill Peters. So we're going to go through what I believe is going to go down and just their current situation. So the Calgary Flames, their current roster, and as you can see right there, I believe Matthew Tkachuk's contract is going to come right under 8 million. So 7.95. I think overall, we've seen in the past with whether it's just bigger name RFAs or just in general when it comes to contract disputes, obviously the player side is going to go to one extreme. The team side is going to go to the next extreme. Obviously, I think in terms of the team side, they're looking to get Matthew Tkachuk under 7 million or in around 7 million, closer to Gaudreau and Monahan. Whereas the player side is looking anywhere from 8 to 9 million. So obviously, you're going to meet somewhere in the middle. I think the middle ground might be closer to the player side, but I think overall, just having it under 8 million shows that Matthew Tkachuk is the highest player right now on the Calgary Flames, but he did not get to that 8 million mark. So we're going to look at the long-term outlook. So the long-term outlook for the Calgary Flames, just to scroll up, if you look at Matthew Tkachuk, that's a 4-year contract at 7.95, and that would keep him under control for the Calgary Flames. So he would still be an RFA at 21 years of age. We're talking about 4 years down the line. He would still be an RFA. The Flames would have control. And obviously, I still think there could be a possibility of a bridge deal, but how does that benefit the Calgary Flames just to have to worry about it 2 years down the line? And for Matthew Tkachuk, maybe that benefits him a little more. But again, this goes back down to the middle ground. At the end of the day, obviously the Calgary Flames at this price tag would want to lock him up for the full 8 years. And for Matthew Tkachuk, he would want to prove himself and maybe have a 2-year or 3-year deal. At the 4-year amount, it keeps him an RFA while getting those years of a lot of potential with Matthew Tkachuk and hopefully a lot of consistency. So obviously that might be a big raise after that 4 years, but at 7.95, that's something the Flames could afford to do after making one more move. So we're going to look at also, if we scroll up here, this is cap friendly, big shout out of course. If you look at the buyouts in the top left there, Troy Bauer and Michael Stone, obviously that made a difference. And at the end of the day, the Calgary Flames, with this Matthew Tkachuk contract, will still be over the cap. So we're going to scroll down, and obviously in the injured reserve, you see Valimaki. So when Valimaki comes back, that will make a difference. You see Scratched. So that's one of the moves they could make. So if they do sign Matthew Tkachuk to that amount, they will be over the cap. They could trade Michael Furleek. Obviously, we've talked about Furleek having locker room issues. That could be one you trade. Obviously, TJ Brody is an option there. They just signed Andrew McDonald to a PTO. I just made a video on that, so go check that out. And obviously they could maybe trade Derek Ryan. I know a lot of Flames fans love Derek Ryan, but at a $3.125 million cap hit for 2 more years, he's 32 years old. He's going to be in your bottom 6, and maybe that's something to consider. Have Mark Jankowski as your third-line center consistently, and then you can have Dylan Dubé as your fourth-line center, or look at other options. But at the end of the day, you got to do something. And then you look at Mangiapane, third from the bottom. I have him signing a 2-year contract at a $1.35 million deal. So he's 23 years of age. He can play the wing. He can play center. I have him just over Austin Czarnik, but Czarnik only has 1 year left on that contract. He's under Jankowski. I just think with Mangiapane, he had about 18 points, half a year. I think his ceiling for this upcoming year could be 30, 35 points. It's a bridge deal. It's a bridge deal to prove himself. I also look at a comparable of a Lawson Krause with the Arizona Coyotes. He signed for under $2 million, and he had about the same production. Obviously, he played a full season, So Mangiapane, we really couldn't predict on what his production would have been in a full year. So a short-term deal, 2-year deal, I could see it being 1 year as well, but I definitely see it at the very most 1.5. I think it's going to come a little under that. So I went safe at 1.35. So he's getting over a 500K raise. So let me know what you think. I think overall, I think Frolik would be the easy one to trade. Obviously, that's not an easy trade to make. The cap hit does not match the player at this very point, but he does only have 1 year left. Maybe the Flames could retain 50% of that contract. So with the Flames, if they did sign Mangiapane to that contract and did sign Matthew Tkachuk to that contract, they would be about, I would say, 2.3 over the cap. So you can do the math. If you trade Frolik and retain about 40%, 30%, that would get your cap space. Or you could trade TJ Brody, and like I said with that Andrew McDonald PTO, maybe you sign him to a 1 year deal. You have Rasmus Anderson playing a bigger role until Valimaki comes back, and that could be an option as well. But definitely, like I said, let me know. Subscribe if you're new. Drop a like. Comment your thoughts. This was John from Hot Take Hockey. Have a good one. Peace out.